We just had an election in Georgia that went for Joe Biden. Then we had 2 Senate runoffs that went for the Democrats. That is bad news for the Republicans there. It might signal that it is time for them to seriously start to think about the candidates they're putting forward and the policies that they're supporting so they can win back some of the support that they've been hemorrhaging. Sorry, I think I had a stroke for a second. I was talking nonsense. No, they're just gonna make it harder for people to vote. That's what they're gonna do. That's what they've always done, and they're gonna keep doing it. Republican state senators introduced a package of bills this week to ban automatic voter registration, ballot drop boxes, no excuse absentee voting in Georgia, voting at all. The proposals amount to an overhaul of Georgia's election laws after record turnout resulted in wins for Democrats. Of course. So one of the bills would require an excuse to vote absentee, undoing a 2019 law allowing no excuse absentee voting. Again, this wasn't even just a pandemic thing. This is before that. Under the bill, voters would need to be 75 years or older, absent from their precinct, observing a religious holiday, pale as hell, have a physical disability, be required to provide constant care for someone with a physical disability, really like that comedian who does the puppets, or required to work for the protection of the health, life, or safety of the public during the entire time the polls are open to qualify to vote absentee. Why? Because they don't want people voting, that's it. And they're just really hoping that before the state government gets taken over, they make it as difficult as possible to actually vote.
This has been the calling card for the Conservative Party, the Republican Party since forever, or since people outside of white male landowners could vote. When women started voting, especially when minorities got a chance to vote, all these things are put into place to preserve what they previously had as much as possible. It's 2021 and we're still doing it. In 2013, the Voting Rights Act, very strong aspects of it got voted down by the Supreme Court. Why? So that they could allow conservative states and conservative elected officials to continue to manipulate our voting systems to make sure they stay in power. Because they can't be voted in because of their ideas and their principles, because they have none of those. They're working for these rich people that have given them enough money, and they're using poor, fine, I'll say it, poor racist people to be the one to uphold all these things that they call values, that they think they're, and also Christians, to think that they're actually falling into those lines of those values that they had. None of those things are happening. But as soon as any one of these things happen, like in 2013, they immediately, within the day, start changing rules to suppress voters' right to get there. You've read like 18 different things that are on this parameter, and they have to be born between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. in order to be on this route and improve it every voting cycle. No, these are some of the most ridiculous guidelines to make sure that people don't vote. Paul Weyrich said like in 1979 or 80 that I don't want people to vote. He said it as Republicans to a Republican audience. The fewer people vote, the more we win. It's the way it is. When Trump was trying to steal this election, he said, you know what? We have all these people voting, and next thing you know, we're never gonna win an election again if we have people voting. They say it openly, and honestly, they're not lying. They're saying it straight up. We don't want Americans to vote. We don't like democracy. We don't like a representative government. We like a very limited representative government of the people who pay us enough money to continue to stay in office and do the things that we do to destroy the rest of your lives. That's our objective in this office. And once we leave, we go to help others that are doing it, continue to do it as lobbyists and any other way we can get involved. That's what they're about. They're not, at least they're not hiding it, but we just decide not to listen to them.
Yeah, it's incredibly clear. I hope that Georgia is going to be able to fight back against this. I don't have any hope that the Supreme Court would overturn any of this. I mean, and it goes like we've read a lot, but it goes farther than that. Let's see, they're banning ballot drop boxes, requiring voters to provide identification when they request an application for a ballot. Another one would limit who can distribute absentee ballot applications. Only Georgia election officials and campaigns. Outside groups, nonprofits can't do it. Why? Like they're literally not involved with the application. It is just, here's a paper for you to then get it later yourself. You're not even with us, but they don't want it because it leads to more people voting. Other measures introduced by state Republican lawmakers would expand poll watcher access for voting intimidation, prohibit new Georgia residents from voting in runoffs. Why? Because we don't think they're gonna vote for us, that's it. And literally they just lost 2 runoffs and they're like, no, don't vote in the runoffs anymore. And mandate monthly updates to election officials of voters who have died. There's lots of polls. People don't actually support this, obviously. They don't support the party, they don't support their efforts to stop them from voting. It's just insane that they're that it's so brazen. They lose a presidential election, they lose the runoffs, and they're like, well, clearly we've got a problem here. It's people voting. And it's not just them. Really fast. Here's a shot from MSNBC rounding up. Arizona is gonna be doing stuff about mail ballots and also allowing the legislature to overturn the result of an election. All that stuff, that was going on for months where like, oh, it's inconvenient, they can't actually nullify the will of the voters. They're trying to change that so that they can. Pennsylvania is gonna be purging voter rolls more. Georgia's gonna be doing all sorts of stuff. So all these states where they lost, they're not gonna change their platform or even their campaigning style. They're just hoping they can eliminate a few 100,000 voters. And then that's the solution to the problem. And they've always done this, they're doing this now. It is on the media to make clear that people know that this is happening. It's on the politicians in those states to try to fight back against it. And it's on all of us to deliver a Supreme Court that will actually protect the right to vote and not simply, go an election cycle or two saying who cares what ends up happening in the Supreme Court. It does actually matter because a super majority in the Supreme Court for the Republicans is the exact sort of one that's gonna be okay with states like Arizona overturning results, Pennsylvania purging every black person in the entire state from ever voting, etc.
This is a big illustration. It highlights the importance of continuing to stay involved, continue to make sure you're voting, to continue to make sure you're paying attention to what's happening. Because I was saying it right after Biden got in office, and actually when Trump finally decided to go ahead and leave, after his attempt to not leave, we have to make sure you continue to stay on because these guys are not gonna stop. It's not like they went, oh, well, looks like we lost. I guess we'll go ahead and start doing normal things now, like following the rule of law and making sure we don't try to upend democracy in the country. Let's not do that. Let's go ahead and make sure we continue to go that route. So on the other side, you can't get calm and complacent, and be like, whew, got rid of Trump. Now let's sit back. No, they're gonna continue to fight. People who don't want things to go well in this country will never tire. They got money and they've got people that are willing to pay them to continue to do this. They're on it immediately. So don't think that we're done. It's never gonna end. You have to continue to stay with this.
Yeah.
It's tiring.
Joe Biden becoming president didn't solve all of our problems. Oh, I was really hoping. No, yeah, the fight continues and the Republican Party is just gonna try to make it harder to vote and they're gonna do everything they can to appeal to QAnon people. That is it. That's the future.
That's not the new playbook. Half of it is the new playbook, the QAnon part.
Yeah, the king is dead. Long live the king. New playbook, same as the old playbook.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.